No, first, just want to offer our thanks, appreciation to everybody involved with the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Having been in a few of these bowls can be a difficult balance. There's the experience of the bowl, getting to meet all the people involved with it, getting to enjoy the city, and then certainly in these playoff games, you're balancing trying to give the teams a great experience, but also, kind of the space to get ready for obviously an important game, and these guys have done as good a job of any that I've been around of balancing that. Our team has really enjoyed the city of Atlanta, enjoyed this week, so very much appreciated, first class all the way. So had a great week of practice. At this point, I think everybody's just ready for the game to be here. We certainly can't wait to play.
All right, thanks, Coach. Coach O?
I want to thank Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, City of Atlanta. All the guys that worked tireless hours, I think is very well organized. They gave us a chance to come here and have a playoff type mentality and still have a bowl experience. I think that the time that they asked us to do things was very short. It was very entertaining for our football players. It was great to spend some time with Coach Riley and his family, get to see the staffs, get to see his fine football team. And I thought our teams interacted well together. There were some competitive games and stuff. It was fun. The food's been great. The facility's been great. Just a great atmosphere.
Thank you, Coach. All right, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions. If you would, please raise your hand. We'll get you a microphone, and let's start right here, right side, row one, gentlemen.
James Hale, Sports Talk 1400, The Ref in Norman. Lincoln, the last few years since you've been at OU, you've set the standard for offense in college football. You have another great offensive team this year. LSU's kind of the talk of college football offensively a little bit this year. When you look at their offense, what do you see, and how much does it remind you of what you guys do offensively when you look at LSU?
I see a really, really good offense. They've done a great job. The quarterback has certainly made them go. Like a lot of great offenses, he's a tremendous player. We've thought that for a long time, even when we offered him many years back. And so Joe's been phenomenal for them all year. And they just don't have a ton of weaknesses. Offensive lines obviously played well. They've got weapons on the outside, weapons at running back, and they've got a scheme that's very creative in the way that they use those guys and create matchups. So a lot of respect for the way they've played. You watch them, there's certainly some things that are similar, and then there's a lot of things that are different that make them unique. So, the whole thing, to me, it doesn't matter where it came from. It's how do you package it? How do you make it fit the strengths of your team and your players? And they've certainly done a tremendous job of that.
All right, next question. All right, we're going to go here on the left side right here in the third row.
Jacques Doucet, WAP-TV in Baton Rouge. Coach Orgeron, you're two very talented freshman running backs, Tyrion Davis-Price and John Emery. How much have they matured since the beginning of the year, and are they ready to play on such a big stage?
Yeah, both of them are ready to play, along with Chris Curry. All three of them have different talents that, Clyde can do all three things. I think all three of them are different. All three of them can do some of the things that Clyde does, not all the things that they do. They've matured. I think that the games have gotten them ready. John's improved on the things he had to improve on. Tyron's a big bull. He's very physical. Chris Curry has learned the offense and can go in there and give us some plays. So I think all three of them have improved, but they have to play very well if they play against a very stiff Oklahoma defense.
All right, next let's go right over here in the fourth row. Barry?
Barry Trammell with the Orgeron and Lincoln. We talked a little bit about this in August, but now that you've had a season of perspective, how has Jalen handled stepping into the footsteps of Baker and Kyler and the kind of standard and performance level they set? How's he handled that entire spectrum of having to replace quarterbacks like that?
I think his maturity has shown in that he hasn't tried to be those guys. He's been in big moments, he's been in big games, big scenarios, and I don't feel like that was much of a factor with him, which as a coach, that's exactly how you would hope that he would handle it. I think he's learned from them, certainly studying the tape, the different things that we've done, how we've done it, I think has helped him. But he's also added his own flavor to it. So I think he's handled it well. I think he's tried to be himself, tried to learn it and do the very best he can, and he's a guy that's got a pretty singular focus, and that's probably helped him in this situation when you're following, two pretty decent players.
All right, we're going to go over here, row 2 on the left.
Anthony Patterson with the Atlanta Voice. This question is for both coaches. The last time these two teams met was in the 2004 Sugar Bowl, which was the national championship game. And, of course, LSU won 21-14. I was just wondering from both of you guys, did you know about the history of that? 2, have you watched it? And 3, if, excuse me, 3, how, so yeah, those 2 questions basically.
I'll start. First of all, I was at another university, played in a big-time game that day, too, so no, we didn't watch it. And, obviously it was a big game for both schools. Obviously 2 great traditional schools. Obviously the Sugar Bowl, the national championship is a big deal, and it was a big deal at LSU, but did we watch it? Did we study it? No.
I remember watching it. I was probably like 15 years old at the time. I haven't thought much about it since then, so no. I remember watching it. I remember it being a heck of a game.
So there's nothing you can glean from the film from that game that's going to help you?
Nah, it's changed just a little bit.
Okay, all right. Back here over on the aisle here on row 3.
Hey, Doug Mouton, WWL TV, New Orleans. I got to ask, is there an update on Clyde? What is the latest on Edwards-Hilaire's progress right now?
He has not practiced yet. He worked out with the trainers. He did a little more yesterday. He felt a little sore after he worked out. I talked to him last night. Obviously, if Clyde's ready to play, we're going to let him play. That's going to be a game-time decision. The trainers are going to let us know if he's able to play, first of all. Then I'm going to ask him, are you ready to play? Knowing Clyde, he's going to want to play. Do I think he plays? Yeah. How much he plays, I don't know. But that's still, we got still a ways to go there. He's still a little sore. He's not 100% healthy, obviously. I don't know if he can cut yet, and he doesn't know if he can cut yet, and we'll see.
All right, we're going to stay in that same area here in row 4 on the aisle.
For both coaches, in terms of your respective fan bases, obviously, Coach O, the Tigers were just here 3 weeks ago. A lot of Georgia fans that day. If you walk us through your expectations for LSU fans showing up, for Coach Riley as well, how much do you expect Sooner Nation to show up this weekend?
Yeah, we've always traveled, historically well. I can remember being out at the Rose Bowl week 3 this year, and there was a lot of red in that stadium, a lot of crimson in that stadium. So, I expect our fans to be here to enjoy it. They've always been incredibly supportive, and I know this will be no different.
If the elevator at 6 o'clock in the morning in my hotel is any indication, it'll be full of purple and gold.
All right, next question over here, 4th row on the left side.
Dean Blevins, News 9 Sports, Oklahoma City. Lincoln, your teams have historically gotten better, improved as the season has gone along. Can you describe how that's gone this year all the way through the preparation for this game where the team is?
Yeah, I don't think you're sitting here at the college football playoff if your team hasn't gotten quite a bit better. I think we have. I think we've had different challenges throughout the year, and we've been able to face most of them and come out on the good end. So probably more for me right now would be the preparation we've had in the last several weeks. Our goal has been to play our very best game, and we put forth a schedule that had that and only that in mind. And our players, coaches, everybody have executed that extremely well. So that's been our goal from day one. When we found out that we were going to be in the playoff and playing a really good LSU team was let's play our very best, and I think we've done the work to get that done.
All right, let's go over here on the right, 5th row.
Michael Cobble, WBRZ TV in Baton Rouge. Ed, how has Jalen improved since you've last seen him on the field?
Well, obviously he was a young player when we played him. They're doing more things with him. He's the leader of this football team. He looks like to me he's the heart and soul of this football team. I have to commend him to going into a new situation and obviously have won it over by, I'm assuming, the way he works. Knowing him and his character and what he's done and working with Coach Riley, I think that Those guys have a tremendous system, a tremendous program. He's very smart. He's very difficult to stop, but I'm gonna tell you what, this game makes it tough. And those guys they block more people in the box than you have, and then they have C.D. Lamb sitting out there. It's a very difficult scheme. They know how to call the right plays, but he runs the ball like a big tailback back there and also throws the ball well. And also has come back from a deficit to lead his team to victory. I do believe he's a great leader.
All right, next question. We're going to go here about halfway back on the left aisle.
Lincoln, Mark Bradley from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I'm sure this is your favorite question of all time, so I apologize for asking it again. But
Here we go.
as you go into tomorrow, are you looking at this as a chance to represent the Big 12, or are you just representing the 2019 OU football team?
I do think it's a chance to represent your league. I wouldn't shy away from that. I think you are, but I don't think this is necessarily about the Big 12 versus the SEC or anything else. So I don't know, maybe I'm straddling the fence there, but I do see it as a chance to represent your league, certainly. Now this matchup is about, Oklahoma and LSU, and that's certainly what it's going to come down to. But yeah, these are big stages. I think it's great representing your league just getting here, because obviously with the current format, not every league is going to be represented in the college football playoff. And so we're excited to be here and excited to play our best.
All right, next question. We're going to go in the third row on the far left.
Ed Daniels, WGNO New Orleans. Ed, the whole year offensively, your team, even in the biggest games, has been able to play free and loose offensively. How does that carry over? And this is, I guess, the first time you'll be in a one-and-done situation this year. Does that concern you at all?
You hear about, guys winning the Heisman and how they gonna play after and all that stuff. We made sure that Joe's rested. We made sure that we have blocked out all the noise. We haven't talked about any individual awards, accomplishments in our meetings, so I think we've left that stuff behind. And we haven't talked about the pressures of the playoff game or nothing like this. We've approached this game just like any other game. The only thing I told them, we come to a playoff game, not a bowl. I do believe we're going to play loose. If it's any indication of the way they've been all week, they've been loose all week. They've had great practices. I don't think that a pressure of a big-time game is going to get to these guys. They have great leadership, but we'll see. You never can tell until the game comes.
All right, next question. All right, right here, row 3 on the aisle, please.
Coach Orgeron, as you're here, I couldn't help but think about some players that may be playing and part of this who would, if they had not entered the transfer portal or gone somewhere else. Can you speak to that, and can you maybe mention maybe 2 or 3 guys on this team who stuck it out, who could have made that choice and are now part of this?
I do believe that the transfer portal in some situations is very good. I do believe that. There's no question about that. If a player is not playing at a school and can transfer like both of these quarterbacks and go there and lead their team to a championship season, I think it's phenomenal. I think everybody needs that chance. I think if a player is going through some hard times and he's just wanting to quit and he's not wanting to persevere and he's wanting to take the easy way out, I think it's a bad thing for football. I think that everybody needs to stick to it. We've had some players that have transferred and have not had success. I think they wish they'd still be on the football team. We've had some players on our football team that thought about transferring and have come back, and they're glad that they stuck it out.
All right, back to row 2 here on the left.
This coach is for Lincoln Riley. Earlier in the week, you guys practiced at Georgia State Stadium, which used to be Turner Field. I was just wondering, how was your experience and how did it feel to be practicing in such a place like that, which used to be a baseball field? And also, how was your players' experience from that?
Yeah, no, we definitely enjoyed getting there, getting outside. Pretty cool to be in a stadium like that where a lot of championships have been won, a lot of great players have played, and yeah, it looks like they've done a lot of work, certainly around that area. The facility was great, people were great there. It was a very positive experience.
All right, next question, we're going to go in the fifth row here on the right side aisle.
Coach Orgeron, I don't need you to give me too many trade secrets, but CeeDee Lamb and the matchup problems that he presents, I'm assuming you're going to have to mix a lot of different coverages.
Yeah. Well, just talking to Coach, he's from Opelousas. So, wonder how that one got away, you know, and no question about it. That's the first thing I heard about that. He played on the Pee Wee League with Grant Telpin. I can just about imagine how well that Pee Wee League was. But obviously, Coach and them do a great job of recruiting Texas. A lot of our players were Katrina displaced and went to Texas, and they've done a great job with him. He's big and he's strong. He's one of the best receivers we've seen, and we face some really good receivers. We see some really good receivers every day in practice, but he's different. Yards after the catch with this guy, phenomenal. And you're gonna have to cover one-on-one. You just can't put a safety over the top of him and stop Jalen Hurts all day. Now you got to mix it up. You can't give him the same thing every time. This guy's too good of a play caller. So you have to mix it up. You have to take your shots. But I think the biggest key is keep him in front of you and tackle him. I think with the yards after the catch is where he's really dangerous.
All right, next question right here in the middle of row 2.
Brooks Cabina from The Advocate. Ed, building a culture within your program and maintaining that throughout the season, I mean, with all the success, what behind the scenes, how have you approached maintaining that and, examples you might remember?
I do believe it's the leadership, the coaches that we have, the support system that we have. We have a lot of help at LSU, and for that we're very fortunate. When you have a guy like Kevin Falk that's around, that's able to talk to these guys on a daily basis, that helps. When you recruit character, it helps. But I do believe that the leadership of this football team, the coaches that we have, and the character, when we recruit, and I'm sure coaches the same way, character counts. And if there's any red flags, we really look at the football player and not bringing them in. I think that has changed our perception here at LSU. I think that we have guys that are great players with great character. And I think that the daily process and the focus that we have on this football team has helped that.
All right, next question. All right, let's go right here, row 2 on the aisle.
Lincoln, you guys have been here obviously 3 years in a row. Anything that you learned from the last 3 years that maybe help you this year in terms of this game? Do you handle it like just a big game, OU Texas, or is it obviously much more media, the week leading up? Just what you've learned that can help you, how you dealt with this week's workouts.
I think it's helpful for a lot of our staff and players that have been here. You understand the scope of it and all the attention and hype that comes around with this game. I think personally for me, probably the biggest help is having gone through this a few different times is within the scheduling. There's so much. You've got a lot of different choices on how you can handle this amount of time. And this year has been different than the others, like we've said, 1,000 times now because of being a week shorter. But it has helped us, in some trial and error before. Some things that we did from a scheduling perspective, when we practice, how we practice. I would say that's evolved, and we feel like we've got a pretty good plan going forward, and some of that's based on what we have learned in the past.
All right, next question, row 5 on the aisle on the right.
For both coaches, if you don't mind, how much does having the significance of a championship game help keep your team's attention? Obviously, in bowl games, guys get different agendas late in the year and might be thinking about themselves. How much has having this extra game behind you really helped focus your team?
Honestly, it's kind of hard for me to compare, because the 3 years, we've been in it. So hopefully I'm never in that situation. But I can imagine it probably helps some. I mean, there's a lot going on for guys at the end of the year. I think at that point you hope the leadership of your team, the culture that you have, is able to keep the team together. Our 1 year at OU that we weren't in the playoff. 2016, I think. We had a lot of guys that were NFL ready, some guys that left early, but all of our guys stayed and played. The team really held it together and beat a really good Auburn team. So I think in those moments, it certainly depends on the culture, the kind of guys you have, the leadership, how committed they are to that program and team, because bowl games are important. I know everybody wants to talk about the playoffs, and the playoffs are great, but all these other bowl games, you ask any coach, any player, any staff member that's ever been a part of them, they're important, and you remember them, all of them. And so, hopefully we continue seeing a trend of, hopefully college football can stay in a place where we don't take away the importance, and guys understand that, because if they don't put value on it, or they just skip it or do this and that, they're going to look back and regret it, because those are moments in time that you get with your team, your brothers, your coaches, that you never get back. And when you get on the backside of it, you'll definitely remember.
Yeah, it's been definitely different for us. It's a playoff game. A bowl is your final destination. It's the last game. Guys want to have fun, the seniors and guys that are going out. And we're talking about what we're going to do recruiting and stuff like that. This for us has been completely different. It's another week of practice. It's a playoff game. Everything's on the line. All the focus is in on playing our best game on Saturday.
All right, we're going to go back over here. Barry?
Yeah, Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. For Ed and Lincoln, you guys both promoted from within the staff. The majority of college football hires are not that way. All four of you guys in the playoff were promoted from within. Could that set off a trend where schools now look more closely at assistant coaches rather than just going after the hottest guy on the market?
I hope it is. There's some guys that, when you work with somebody every day, you know what you got. And there's pluses and minuses with everybody. And the grass always looks greener on the other side. But I think there's some assistants that are very deserving. They've recruited these players. They know the school. Some of them are great fits. That's why they're at the school, and they're very valuable. They know the ins and outs. They know what's good for the school. They know what you should do at this school, what you shouldn't do at that school. So I think it could be a big advantage, and I hope that the assistants at schools that are very deserving get the job, because they're the best guy, just because they're not the hottest ticket.
Yeah, I would just hope this speaks to anybody out there that's has a responsibility of hiring coaches, that they just try to hire the very best person. They don't set they don't have an initial idea of it has to come from outside or this or that. Just hire the very best person wherever they're at, wherever, whether it's internal, whether it's external, that to me doesn't matter. And then hopefully you continue to see guys, like we all did, get those chances if they are deserving. And so I think it's been a positive trend.
All right, next question, row 3 on the aisle, right here on the left.
It's for both of you guys. This seemed like a year where 4 teams getting to the playoff worked. Obviously, a lot of talk about going to 8. If you guys had a vote, would you say 4 is good, or would you be okay with expanding the field?
That's a question you get back and forth. I would say this. I do think we have a great system. I mean, I think the playoffs have brought, a lot of attention. I think you've got national champions out of it that are very deserving, and that's the end goal. Deep down, do I believe at some point we're going to have all the conference champions involved? It's hard to say no to that, just because conference championships at this level are so hard to win. And college football is different because leagues are different, and leagues are different year to year. And sometimes it's tough to compare, one team's schedule or how one conference does it or how one conference sets up their conference championship game to other leagues. And so, I do think we have a great product right now. I think we've got a great system, but a system down the road that maybe guaranteed all the conference champions in, I don't know that I would disagree with that.
I think it's good the way it is. Obviously, that's out my wheelhouse. I don't have a vote. And if it goes to 8, it goes to 8, stays at 4, stays at 4. We just want to play.
Next question here, row 2 on the right.
Amos Morale, WWL Radio in New Orleans. Coach O, I was wondering if during this process heading to the playoffs, you leaned on anyone from your past or any of your mentors, just to get advice or seek any kind of counsel.
Well, I just I have Coach Robinson on my staff, obviously, so he's with me every day. And that helps. I have Kevin Falk with me that's been with Belichick, so that helps. So anytime, I don't even have to pick up the phone. I just need to walk down the hall and ask him a question. So that's very, very helpful to us. You know, and I look at the things that we did in Miami. I look at the things that we did with Coach Carroll. If I have to call, I can call Coach Carroll and ask him a couple of questions. I don't. I still have the same practice plans that we used when we were back there, the same game plan. So every once in a while I look at that, but more or less I learned it, and it's more or less those programs. The Miami program and the USC program is what we're doing today.
All right, next question here, all the way in the back on the right.
Coach Riley, a lot of eyes will be on this Derek Stingley and CeeDee Lamb matchup. What have you seen out of the true freshman this season?
He's a very good player. You know, impressive. You know, the way he's been able to play, some of the plays he's been able to make on you know, in some important games, and certainly been able to do that as a young guy. It's he's certainly you know, one of the better young corners, you know, that I can remember seeing in the last several years. So they've done a great job with him schematically, and he's, you know, he's kind of hung in there through the year, gotten better and better. It looks like he's stayed pretty healthy, you know, been able to be out on the field and take a large quantity of reps. And so, yeah, he's an impressive kid.
All right, we've got time for a few more. Next question, we're going to go here, third row on the left.
Coach O, we spoke to Coach Aranda this week, and he talked about how Jalen Hurts was the most dangerous scrambler since the Ole Miss quarterback, and talked about that was a rough afternoon for you guys. What did you learn from that experience, you know, moving forward to having to defend Hurts?
Well, I think we were a little surprised by the Ole Miss quarterback. We knew he could run. They had a scheme that really got to us a little bit. We weren't as prepared for that scheme as we thought we'd be, and he was faster, and they were better. I don't think this is going to be the case. That doesn't mean we're going to stop him. We know this guy's a great player. We know they have a great scheme. We know they can make plays. Now, we're just not going to shut down this offense, you know what I mean? But we need to be in the right place at the right time. We need to play our blocks. We need to tackle in space, and we need to keep coming after it. This is going to be a war. This is going to be one of the hardest offenses we've tried to stop since I've been here at LSU. And Jalen's one of the best players. We know that. He's beat us twice already. So he has the ultimate respect of the head coach here and everybody on our staff.
All right, right behind Dean.
Lincoln, there hasn't been much made this week of the fact you're playing without four really good football players. How did you address the club about that, and how does that impact the game and how you approach it?
I didn't address our team at all about it. We've, you know, of all the years at Oklahoma, this has probably been the year that we've had the most lineup changes, major injuries, guys out for games. We've dealt with that all season. So honestly, this is nothing new for us, other than it's probably a little bit easier in the fact that you've had some time to plan for it. And so no, it's our guys know the deal. You know, that's our culture there. It's if somebody's down for whatever reason, it's next man up. And you know, I don't think it's phased our team at all. We're used to it, and we've got confidence in the guys that'll step up in that place.
All right, we're going to take a couple more. We'll go here on the left side, halfway.
Nicole Hutchison with KALB in Alexandria. This is for both coaches. What advantages do you guys both think you guys have for y'all's team?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to, like Coach just said, this game's going to be a heavy hitter. You know, I mean, you get to the college football playoff, both teams are good. You know, both coaching staffs are good, both schemes are good. There's good players on all three sides of the ball. And I think, you know, you just go in and try to do your very best and control what you can control and play your very best game. And, you know, it's going to be a game of probably not a ton of huge advantages either spot, and that's why these playoffs are so great.
Just go out and play. Go out and play your game. Play at the LSU standard performance. Control we can control.
All right, let's go right here.
Yeah, Barry Trammell, the Oklahoma. Ed, someone asked you about the OU LSU Sugar Bowl, which you didn't have a part of. Next year, it's USC, Oklahoma, in the Orange Bowl for the title. You were a part of that, although you took the Ole Miss job. I don't know if you were in Miami for that game, but your memories of that game And whether you were there or not, or I'm sure you watched it, why did you think such a big-time matchup got so lopsided one way for the Trojans?
I don't want to say this boastfully, but I was there, and I remember it. You know, the biggest thing I remember is Adrian Peterson. I recruited Adrian Peterson to go to USC. It came down to Oklahoma and USC, and he and I had a great relationship, so I look forward to playing against him. It was one of those nights. We were playing great. We had our best game. A lot of respect for Oklahoma, obviously. Playing in the Orange Bowl, playing against a great player like Adrian Peterson. We had a lot of great players on that football team. That was probably one of Coach Carroll's best team. It was a tremendous night. I remember we won, we beat Oklahoma that night, and then the next morning I had to drive to Orlando to catch a flight to go to Ole Miss to start at 3:30 in the morning. So I didn't get to enjoy it much, but I do remember it. And again, a lot of respect for Oklahoma and a lot of respect for Adrian Peterson.